Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajacharya Ashtottara Satashishimad, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajacharya Ashtottara Satashishimad, His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shishi Guru and Gauranga. All glories to the Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Brahma Kopoti Tadyastu Takshakat Prana Viplava Nasamu Mohorubayan Bhagavat Yarpitashayaha Brahma Kopoti Tadyastu Takshakat Prana Viplava Nasamu Mohorubayan Bhagavatarpitashayah Brahmakopoti Tadyastu Takshakat Prana Viplava Nasamu Mohorubayan Bhagavatarpitashayah. Brahmakopoti Tadyastu Chakat Prana Viplava Bhagavatarpitashayah Brahmakopoti Tadyastu Takshakat Prana Viplava Nasamudayan Bhagavatarpitashayah Brahmakopoti Tadyastu Vaishnavis Kopoti Tadyastu Brahmakopotitadyastu Takshakat Pranaviplava Nasamumohudundaya Kapatasha Bhagavatyarpitashaya Brahmakopa, fury of a Brahmin. Utitat, caused by. Ya, what was. Tu, but. Takshakat, by the snake bird. Pranaviplava, from dissolution of life. Na, never. Samumoha, was overwhelmed. Urubhaya, great fear. Bhagavati, unto the personality of Godhead. Arpita, surrendered. Ashayaha, consciousness. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Furthermore, Maharaj Parikshit was always consciously surrendered to the personality of Godhead, and therefore he was neither afraid nor overwhelmed by fear due to a snake bird which was to bite him because of the fury of a Brahmana boy. Purport. Self-surrendered devotee of the Lord is called Narayana Parayana. Such a person is never afraid of any place or person, not even of death. For him nothing is as important as the Supreme Lord, and thus he gives equal importance to heaven and hell. He knows well that both heaven and hell are creations of the Lord, and similarly life and death are different conditions of existence created by the Lord. But in all conditions and in all circumstances, remembrance of Narayan is essential. The Narayana Parayana practices this constantly. Maharaj Parikshit was such a pure devotee. He was wrongfully cursed by an inexperienced son of a Brahmin who was under the influence of Kali, and Maharaj Parikshit took this to be sent by Narayan. He knew that Narayan, Lord Krishna, had saved him when he was burned in the womb of his mother, and if he were to be killed by a snake bite, it would also take place by the will of the Lord. The devotee never goes against the will of the Lord. Anything sent by God is a blessing for the devotee. Therefore Maharaj Parikshit was neither afraid of nor bewildered by such things. That is the sign of a pure devotee of the Lord. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Agyan Timirandasya Gnanjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vanchakalpa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So I first ask all the blessings of the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, that you bless me that I may be able to speak properly on our Gaudiya Vaishnava Siddhanta as handed down to us by our Srila Prabhupada. So in today's verse and purport, It's all about surrender, self-surrendered devotee. And Maharaj Parikshit, it's very interesting in the verse, was consciously surrendered to the personality of Godhead. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada talks about how the pure devotee is not affected by the dualities of this world. Heaven and hell, birth and death, all of these things are also creation of the Lord. Maharaj Parikshit, later on in this chapter, they will go through the entire pastime of him putting the snake around the Rishi's neck, being cursed by the furious Brahmin boy. But he took that as being a blessing, being a gift from Krishna, to ultimately surrender even more. And so the dualities of the material world, we all know in this room, Jiver Sarupa Hoy, Krishna Nityadas, Krishna Tatasta Shakti Beta Beta Prakash, that we're all eternal servants of Krishna. But we've come down to this material world to try and enjoy separately from Krishna. And in doing so, we become conditioned by the dualities of this world. We have this subtle body, the mind. What are the two functions of the mind? Sankalpa and Vikalpa, accepting and rejecting. So life after life, we've been accepting that which gives us pleasure, rejecting that which gives us pain. And it's so much more prevalent in our Western culture, right? In the Eastern culture, choice is a little bit restricted. You know, still you have sometimes arranged marriages. You have to follow the parents and what they're doing. In the West, from the time you're born, it's like, which type of ice cream do you prefer? Which type of iPhone do you prefer? Which type of this? We get so many choices in this Western civilization that we reinforce that we're this body, we're the enjoyer. I only accept that which gives me pleasure, reject that which gives pain. And then fear is so much instilled with us because we don't want anything that gives us pain. Even though they say, what is it? No pain, no gain, right? That's a very famous saying, no pain, no gain. But we're so afraid of pain. We're so afraid of death. We're so afraid of so many dualities in this world. And what happens? We meet the Vaishnavas or Vaishnavis, and they say, don't worry about what gives you pleasure. Don't worry about what gives you pain. Instead, turn towards the sense gratification of Krishna. What is his desires? What is his sense gratification? And we're bewildered because we don't even know that Krishna is a person. We don't even know that God is a person. But he has desires. And the jiva, the living entity, is meant to fulfill the desires of Krishna. And there's a famous poem, Paradise Lost, by John Milton. Srila Prabhupada actually quotes from it in his books. And the mentality of Satan, Lucifer, in Paradise Lost, he has a very famous verse, better to reign in hell than to serve in heaven. So that's the mentality of this material world. We don't want to serve anybody else, we want to serve ourselves. But by the mercy of the devotees, we're able to cleanse our perception of this material world. And so surrender, there's a very wonderful verse quoted many times by Srila Prabhupada, Anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam rakshishititi vishvaso goptritve varanam tata atmanikshepa karpanye shadvidha sharanagati. So in surrender, sharanagati, there's 6 different characteristics. The first 2, anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam, that to only accept that which is favorable to devotional life and reject that which is unfavorable. So we go from the mind accepting and rejecting based on material pleasure and pain to that which is conducive to our spiritual life. We are in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, going through the 28th chapter. And Kapila Dev, he gives some very amazing verses about meditating on Krishna. And by meditating on Krishna, the mind becomes purified, the subtle body becomes purified. So much so that Kapila Dev says that the mind actually becomes one with the desires of the Lord. Very beautiful verse in purport. Srila Prabhupada talks about Arjuna being the greatest example of giving up what he wanted to do. He didn't want to fight in the battle of Kurukshetra, didn't want to fight against his loved ones. Imagine being in that situation where you have to fight against your loved ones, kill them. But Krishna says in the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, they're already dead. I've already destroyed them. All you have to do is be an instrument and you'll be glorified. And Arjuna surrendered after hearing Bhagavad Gita from Krishna, which ended with Sarva Dharman Prityaja Mamekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Cham Sarva Pabhebhyo Moksha Yishami Masuchaha. Krishna says, surrender everything, give up all different types of dharma, just surrender unto me, Masuchaha. You don't need to worry. We're so worried about what's going to happen to our physical body, about this and that. Krishna is telling us, don't worry. No worries, Prabhu, no worries. So, Sarva Dharman Prityaja. For us, most devotees know that verse. We quote it quite often. And there's a very amazing pastime with Ramanujacharya. He had a disciple named Dasarati. Dasarati was a great scholar. He would go around and preach, defeat so many Mayavadis and personalists. He was known as a great scholar and preacher. And yet one day he went to Ramanujacharya and he begged his guru, please reveal to me the meaning of Sarva Dharman Prityaja Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. Please reveal the meaning of this verse. A great acharya, great scholar, going to his guru, saying, please reveal to me this verse. We take it for granted sometimes. Oh yeah, I know that verse, Prabhu. Oh yeah, I know that. I quote it so many times. Dasarati, he pleaded with Ramanujacharya, please reveal this verse to me. Ramanujacharya said, you should go to Goshti Purna, another great acharya, and you should serve him. And he will reveal everything to you. Dasarati went for 6 months serving Goshti Purna in menial ways, went for 6 months. At the end of the 6 months, he asked Goshti Purna, please reveal this meaning of the verse to me. What did Goshti Purna say? Oh, you should go ask Ramanujacharya. He knows more than me. Why did he send you to me? You should go ask him. So after serving for 6 months, he then went all the way back to Sri Rangam. Imagine trying to get some mercy from a Vaishnav. You serve them for 6 months. Oh, you should go ask this other Prabhu. So Ramanujacharya, Dasarati came in. Ramanujacharya was sitting. And Dasarati, as soon as he was going to ask Ramanujacharya, please reveal the meaning of Sarva Dharman Prityaja. What does surrender really mean? What does it really mean to surrender? So, as soon as he was going to ask this to Ramanujacharya again, Atulai came in. Atulai is the daughter of Mahapurna, the guru of Ramanujacharya. And Atulai, she came in, she was so disturbed. I have no time for sadhana. I have no time for spiritual life. I'm constantly serving my family. I have to cook, I have to clean, I have to do so many things. I have no time for my sadhana. I have no time for spiritual life. Ramanujacharya said, oh, you're in luck. Here's Dasarati. He'll go with you, He'll cook, he'll clean, he'll do whatever you need to do. Dasarati, great scholar, great preacher, he went with Atulai. He started just becoming a menial servant, going to the river, getting water, washing the pots, cooking, washing clothes, doing whatever Atulai needed him to do. He became the most menial servant. And in this way, he spent much time serving, just menially serving. And then one day in the village where he was staying, there was a great Mayavadi preacher. This Mayavadi preacher had a huge crowd around him, was speaking on Vedanta. You know, the Mayavadis, they misconstrue the Vedanta. Instead of giving the direct meanings, they give the tatastha lakshana, they give the indirect meanings. This is actually very interesting with those who are against God. They actually can't come up with their own symbols or their own meanings in life. You see how those who are against Christ, what do? They put the upside down cross. The Nazis, they take the swastika and they make it crooked. Same thing with the impersonalists. They give indirect meanings to the Vedanta Sutras, try to establish the impersonal conception of Krishna. And so this Mayavadi, he's preaching so heavily. Dasarati, he just hears this and he can't stand it anymore. He stands up and just preaches to the Mayavadi in such a way that the Mayavadi, the only way that he could defeat Dasarati was saying, "Who are you? You're just a cook. You just clean. Who are you? You're just the servant of Atulai." And then it was revealed, this is Dasarati. This is Dasarati. Everybody, this is Dasarati, the great scholar and preacher, disciple of Ramanujacharya. And all the followers of Ramanujacharya in that land, they were thinking, why did Ramanujacharya send Dasarati to become the menial servant of Atulai? He should be preaching, he should be doing so many other things. They all went to Ramanujacharya. Ramanujacharya called Dasarati back, and he revealed, this is Sarva Dharman Prityaja. You're thinking yourself a big scholar, big preacher. You should just do some menial service for others and realize what real surrender is. Because as we grow older in devotional service, what does it really mean to surrender? Does it mean doing what I want to do? This is actually stated in Ramananda Samvad, Ramananda Roy. Lord Chaitanya questions Ramananda Roy about devotional service. And he gives an answer of Krishna Kamarpane, right? Whatever I'm already doing, I'm just going to offer it to Krishna. But this is very low devotional service. High devotional service is doing what the Vaishnavas want us to do, doing what the Lord wants us to do. Of course, we're at different stages of devotional service. And we go higher and higher as we dive deeper. And we have to obviously start somewhere, but what is real surrender? Is it doing what I want to do for Krishna, or what Krishna wants me to do for Krishna? And we see this amazing example in Maharaj Prataparudra. So, to quote a verse that's really amazing verse, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quotes from Mahabharata, Tarko Pratishta Shutayo Vibhina Nasa Vrishir Yasya Matam Nabina Dharmasya Tattvam Nihitam Guhayam Mahajano Yena Gatasapanta. You can't establish real truth. You can't establish real dharma through tarka, logic, reasoning, going through the shrutis, shrutaya vibhina, going through the Vedas. You can't establish real dharma by going to the rishis, because one rishi, to become a muni, you have to have a different opinion than others. So dharmasya tattvam, the real dharma, it's hidden, guhayam, within the heart of the Mahajans. So by surrendering to the Mahajans, they reveal everything to us. We can learn so much philosophy, so many shlokas. Bhagavatam, Sarva Vedanta Saram Hi. It's the essence of all Vedanta. Those who triptasya, Tadrasamritam triptasya, those who taste the rasa of Srimad Bhagavatam, then nanyatra syat ratikvachit. They have no desire for any other literature. Bhagavatam, it's just devotee after devotee teaching us surrender, teaching us Sharanagati. And Chaitanya Charitamrita, same, it's teaching us surrender. So many devotees, their examples are there for us. So Maharaj Prataparudra, every Rathayatra, we get to meditate on Maharaj Prataparudra, great king, sweeping in front of the Rathayatra cart. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepting Maharaj Prataparudra as such an intimate devotee, based on him giving up the mentality that he's a king and accepting the position of a sweeper, which in context, at that time for a king to be a sweeper was such a radical position to take, especially during that time. And so we have these examples of deep Sharanagati, surrender. And when you surrender, then there's no more fear. Bhaja Hure Mana Sri Nandanandana Abhaya Charanara Vindare. The devotee is free from fear. Maharaj Parikshit, he's free from the snake bite of the snake bird, free from the fear of the snake bird. And there's one really amazing pastime that I heard recently. We are part of the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, so Madhvacharya. He had a bull. Has anybody heard about the bull of Madhvacharya before? So he had a bull. I told when you were in Denver. So this Madhvacharya, he had a bull. And the bull would bring the granthas, the books of Madhvacharya. Wherever they went on pilgrimage, this bull would carry this bullock cart filled with books. And again, going back to surrender and service, because the bull was engaged in the seva of Madhvacharya, carrying around the granthas, the transcendental literatures of Madhvacharya, he developed a taste for hearing Hari Katha. So Sushusho Shadadhanasya Vasudeva Katha Ruchi. Vasudeva Katha Ruchi, to get a real taste, Ruchi, for Vasudeva Katha, you have to serve the great personalities. When you serve the great personalities, develop the taste. So he developed a taste for hearing the pastimes of Krishna from Madhvacharya, that the bull would sit with the rest of the disciples of Madhvacharya, and he would hear Hari Katha. He wouldn't be disturbed. The others were checking their tablets at that time, whatever they had, looking at their apples, whatever. And Madhvacharya, he would speak. The bull, he would just focus. He wouldn't be disturbed at all. He wasn't afraid of anything. He wasn't looking at anything. He would just stare at Madhvacharya and hear Hari Katha. So one day, the disciples of Madhvacharya, they themselves felt great scholars, like we just talked about Dasarati. And they asked Madhvacharya that who will write commentaries on your books? Which disciple here will be the one who writes commentaries? Madhvacharya said, this bull, he's going to write the commentaries. They were thinking, the bull. And they saw that Madhvacharya, he was actually giving so much love and attention to this bull. They became envious of this bull. One day, they planned to kill the bull. They got a snake, a poisonous snake. And because the bull was hearing Hari Katha from Madhvacharya, He was just sitting there. He wasn't paying attention to anything else. They brought the snake. The snake bit the bull. And what happened? The snake died. This is the power of being completely absorbed in Harikatha. Being really absorbed in the pastimes of Krishna, Madhvacharya transcendentally giving so much power to this bull that the snake died. And the disciples were very embarrassed. And so later on, this is giving this example that as Maharaj Parikshit wasn't afraid of the Takshaka, snake bird, coming to bite him, so the bull, he wasn't afraid of anything. He was just absorbed. Krishna Katha. Due to the power of his service, of carrying around the books of Madhvacharya. And to finish the pastime, in his next life, he took birth in a Brahmin family, this bull. And there was one disciple of Madhvacharya named Akshobhya Tirtha, great scholar, sannyasi. He was walking with some disciples one day, and he saw this Brahmin boy go to a river, and he started drinking from the river, and he looked exactly like a bull. And Akshobhya Tirtha, he was thinking, you look exactly like a bull. And the boy, Jayatirtha, remembered his past life through Akshobhya Tirtha. And he remembered him serving Madhvacharya. He took initiation from Akshobhya Tirtha. Jayatirtha grew up and he wrote commentaries for Madhvacharya's works. So in Bhagavatam, or Sampradaya, Chaitanya Charitamrita, we have so many examples of great personalities who show us how to surrender. Recently, Vamanadev's appearance, we hear about Bali Maharaj surrendering everything, even going against his guru, Sukracharya. And of course, we have the example of Srila Prabhupada, who is completely absorbed in the mission of his spiritual master. So even for us, who really knows the mind of Krishna? Who really knows Krishna's desires? For us to even try to think about knowing the mind of Dwarkadish is something that's so beyond. But to hear the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, dive into Srila Prabhupada's books, associate with Srila Prabhupada's dear devotees, dear disciples. New Dwarka is such an amazing place to come to. You just feel Srila Prabhupada so much here. Going up into his quarters, it's just, devotees here are just so in tune with Srila Prabhupada's desires. It's really, really amazing. So we cannot just jump to Krishna. We can't even jump to so many acharyas and great personalities that are in Bhagavatam. Properly going through the disciplic succession, we can understand what Srila Prabhupada wants from us. He's made it so clear. And he's given us such an amazing example to live our lives by. And for us younger devotees, there's so many Prabhupada disciples to learn so many things from about devotional life. It's really, really a jewel of New Dwarka coming here and experiencing Srila Prabhupada so deeply. So stop here if there's any questions or comments. Lolita, Gauri and I are so blessed to be in your association after so long. It's very surreal coming back to our home and seeing so many friends and well-wishers. So if there's any reflections, comments, anybody like to go deeper? Pragupati Prabhu.
Thank you for a very wonderful class. Nice instructions there and those wonderful stories you told. I have a question about something in the purport, which you may have touched upon, but I'd like you to elaborate upon it. Prabhupada says the devotee never goes against the will of the Lord. semicolon, anything sent by God is a blessing for the devotee. So, does that mean we should accept everything as sent by God? In other words, in the case of Maharaj Prickett, he accepted the curse as sent by God, and he didn't do anything to counteract it. But for instance, in the case of Sanatan Goswami, when he was imprisoned by Nawab Hussain Shah, he didn't take that as, well, this is sent by the Lord, and I should just accept it and stay here and be Krishna conscious. Or in the case of Raghunath Das Goswami, he didn't just accept it as a blessing of the Lord that he had to be in family life. He did something to counteract it and get out of it. There might even be better examples. Those are the two best examples I could think of, but perhaps there's better examples of that. So how does one know when something's sent by the Lord and you just accept it as a blessing, and when it's not, when it's something you should try to counteract?
So going back to the verse, Anukul yasya sankalpa pratikul yasya varjanam, accept that which is favorable for devotional service and reject that which is unfavorable for devotional service. Those two principles. Of course, also smartavya sitatam vishnur, smartavya najatuchit, sarva nidhi sedasyor etayor eva kinkaraha. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. All the rules and regulations, everything is based to serve, is meant to serve those two principles. But going back to Sanatan Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, they had direct instructions from Lord Chaitanya. Sanatan Goswami, Rupa Goswami, to go to Vrindavan and to, he was in a particular circumstance that he had to free himself. Nawab Hussain Shah imprisoned him, but he had direct instructions of Lord Chaitanya, go to Vrindavan, go to Benares. Raghunath Das Goswami, we saw how he tried to lead family life. His father and uncle, Hiranya Majumdar and Govardhan Majumdar, they would capture him, bring him back. Lord Chaitanya chastised him, actually saying, don't be a Marketa Vairagi. Actually, Krishna will arrange everything for you, but at this time, just act like Prabhupada says, pounds and shillings man, businessman. Act like this for some time, don't artificially renounce. Krishna will make arrangements. And so then, you see, later on, Krishna made the arrangements. And so going back to those two principles though, what is going to actually help us in our devotional life? We had a very nice discussion in Denver about what does Yukta Vairagya really mean, right? Sometimes devotees will accept things, oh yeah, I'll use this in Krishna's service. But sometimes it doesn't always work out that way. We accept it and then we slowly start using it for our sense gratification. But Yukta Vairagya is, no, we utilize everything in Krishna's service, but we're not attached to that thing. Archita Prabhu. Archita Prabhu will correct me.
Hare Krishna, Bal Gopal. It was a very pleasant surprise to hear this morning that you were giving class. I had no idea you were here. I came in late last night. Anyway, in answer to his question, we have to remember that a pure devotee is one who always does what Krishna wants, because Krishna is always prompting him inside to do what he wants them to do. So sometimes externally it may seem that they just accept, like Jad Bharat, he accepted everything. But you want to take me to Kali and kill me? I go. He didn't resist, he didn't fight. They got him to carry the palanquin. That wasn't his goal in life, but he carried it anyway. Whatever came his way, he did. He never resisted anything. So sometimes Krishna puts the devotee in that mood. Don't resist anything, just accept everything. And Krishna protected him when they wanted to sacrifice him to Kali. They got killed. Other times, Krishna wants you to resist. He didn't want Arjuna to just accept the circumstances. Oh, the Kauravas aren't going to give me the kingdom. All right, I'll just go to the forest. No, fight, kill them. So sometimes Krishna prompts the devotees to go against what seems to be God sent, and sometimes he prompts them to just go along with everything. So it's always Krishna's will, and the devotee doesn't resist. You see the difference? It's not so easy to see externally, but internally they're always going with Krishna's will. That's what makes a pure devotee, because they always go with Krishna's will, not what they want to do. Yeah.
Well, I was remembering a quick pastime also about Lokanath Goswami, the spiritual master of Narottam Das Thakur. He was the first one to be sent to Vrindavan by Lord Chaitanya from Navadvip, him and Bhugarbha Goswami. And he was specifically told by Lord Chaitanya to stay in Vrindavan. And he heard that Lord Chaitanya had gone to South India. He hadn't seen Lord Chaitanya for so long. So he traveled to South India. When he got to South India, Lord Chaitanya had gone to Benares. Then he went to Benares. Then Lord Chaitanya went to Vrindavan. Lokanath Goswami followed him there. And then by the time he got to Vrindavan, Lord Chaitanya was back in Jagannath Puri. And Lokanath Goswami, he was just like, oh, now I have to go to Jagannath. Lord Chaitanya appeared to him and said, I told you to stay in Vrindavan. If you would have stayed, you would have seen me. But you went against my instruction, and you tried to follow me, and you ended up missing me so many times. So even the pure devotees, Lokanath Goswami, eternal associate of Lord Chaitanya, he thought one way, but Lord Chaitanya purified him. So even for us who are diving deeper, Krishna will also purify us if we go against, what might be Krishna's desire. Pure devotees also. Satchitananda Prabhu, do we have time?
This is just remind me also another pastime of Lord Krishna and the Pandavas when Ashvatthama was brought to, to be judged, or to be, according to that pastime, Draupadi didn't want him to be killed. Bhima wanted him to be killed. Even Krishna, he says, he should be killed. So how does someone knows when, like what Krishna, put his devotee in a particular situation in which, just to teach the world, how are you going to act? So he actually, I think Prabhupada mentions in purpose that he inspired within the heart what to do. And that's very fascinating.
Well, it's an amazing pastime also because you have different devotees who have different ideas. Even Krishna, Draupadi comes in, soft-hearted, can't kill him, and so they compromised, right? They cut off the jewel, shaved him. They had to compromise. So it's interesting to take that pastime into our daily lives. We live in ISKCON communities, different ideas of how things could be done, and then compromising.
Now, in this regards, Prabhu, about the surrendering process, I was analyzing to that. In order for that to work for the normal devotees, the regular devotees who are not at that level of full surrender, 100%, with no desires, not a tinge of desire for themselves, is that the question of authority comes. If you have an authority and you are surrendered 100%, then you do this, the Sarvadharma Parijaya. But if you don't, no matter who you are, in which position you are, and you might be even doing something that you think is really good, but it can be fame, it can be, position, it can be a convenience, it can be so many things. In the moment someone will say, okay, you're doing pretty good here, but we need you some other place where we need that place to be flourished. Can you do it? And that will be a big test. So are we really that surrender? So that goes for each one of us to actually analyze and see how far I have to go.
Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, New Dwarka Dham ki jai.
So my question is, what is your plan for Bhakti? I have a free pass. I can go for the whole thing or part of it or anything. Because I know the person manages the media side.